and why and why not come to the north? That's what I'm trying to get. Like, why not draw people in? Why not? Right now I think we're losing a little bit of the higher end jobs and the bigger trades, and I think we need that back somehow. And that's what I would like to see happen for Sault Ste. Marie, and maybe the steel plant will build the new beam place and the new different kind of manufacturers to make this work out. So I don't know.
I mean, that's a great example.
I would like to see that happen for us, for our sake. So I mean, it's great to have the smaller companies in there, but we still need some bigger companies that have the holding
some anchors
in there to to work. So
and those particular structural beams that plant's looking at. I mean, it's
I heard that. Yeah, that's why I brought that up.
Of a product that us as a province and us as a country needs a whole lot of, and no one in the country is making that particular product.
Nobody.
So that's perfect example where, I think that is a point in time where if the economic equation to make that work needs a little bit of help, that is a good use of government funds to say, we can't even compete if we wanted to. In order to start a project like this, we need some government funds. And I applaud, when the government does good work, I'm going to applaud them just as I would criticize them. In this particular case, I'm going to applaud them because they found a product. And I think, I'll go back to Premier Ford, same example with the aluminum cans, beer cans, soda cans, pop cans, things like that, where, they're doing studies in the Premier's office just saying, what are we buying as a province that isn't made here? And what's the biggest ticket items? And when you're looking at things like aluminum cans and rails for trains and beams and rebar and things like that, I think that is the role for government, to really looking at all this data and then going back to the entrepreneurs and going back to the business community saying, these are the opportunities. Can we work together on this?
Right.
That's good business. That's good policy. It's good business.
Yeah. So while we're there, what frustrated you the most when you were on the inside of the systems? Like, what was your biggest frustration? This is open. It's your thought. So
I'm very business orientated. I want to move at the speed of business. I expect the organization, the people, the resources to move at the speed of business. And I don't think it's acceptable, even as a public sector organization, to just be slower. So
they should be ahead of us. They should be faster, but or equal at least.
I don't know. Like it's you take a gazelle in Africa who's running away from predators versus a cow on a farm who's getting fed every day. I mean, they're not going to compete with each other.
Can I use that? I'm going to use that analogy.
All you want. You go chase the gazelle, and then you go chase the cow. You're probably going to catch the cow. You're not going to catch the gazelle. So there's a difference, and they're not going to be at the same speed, and I get that. But I was always trying to get them to go faster.
Speed.
And I think where I struggled, and you learn in life and you make mistakes. Where I struggled is, some of the young people that came into the organization, you can get them on that path. Some of the ones that have been there for years,
they're
at their pace. You rock the boat too much, and you're going to get backlash. And that.
But the leadership, if the leadership is not leading at that pace, because I will tell you, you could bring a new person in or a green person, and you could run 100 miles an hour with that person. And the minute you step away, this is just my past experience. You step away and continue your initiative, but you're expecting that person to run the pace, and you come back, and now they have grounded to a halt, if not gone in reverse, because of the mentality of their people they're surrounded around. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there's things I can change. I mean, that would be what I could... Speed
in the delivery, speed in the process.
You have to, and it's efficiency. It's not just speed. It's efficiency in that, as a community or as an organization, whether you're the EDC, the Innovation Center, you're competing with everyone else, and you have to be able to do things as good, if not better, than everyone else to attract these opportunities. Some of it's based on geography and competitive advantages and things that you can't change. But the things you can change comes down to the people and their talents and their skills.
That's in the business forum now too, though. I find that both here with us too, because we have people coming in for resumes and bringing them in, and they always say the right thing, but then you watch them for 2 months and they're like, they get very.
Oversold.
I guess the word's oversold.
You bought some sour milk.
Or they get just settled with their job already, and then they want to raise, but they don't want to show their products. Not all of them. Out of 10, 15 people, 5 of them are just like, oh, this is amazing, and then the rest are just there to get a paycheck, I guess you would say. And it's kind of sad to see it that way. And I found the last 10 years it got worse instead of better, and I'm hoping that will change over time. But right now, they all want these big wages, and they want to do what they want to do and when they want to do it, kind of thing. So
You're saying working from home didn't help?
no, working from home does not help. In my format, there was nobody that worked at home. And for a little while, we had a couple accountants and that, but that's it.
Drop the piece of heavy equipment off someone's driveway.
The rest, you had to be one-on-one, so it was a different story. But still, it was there. We got rid of a lot of people because they just didn't want to be there or just didn't care.
Yeah.
So it's sad, but that's the way it is. So
Jay, managing 400, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Managing 450 units and approximately 100,000 square feet of commercial space. Some of it's your own capital. You've got space. You're a landlord as well, correct?
Yeah,
And
like a fraction of it's ours, but a lot of it's outside investors that we manage their portfolio. And
so when you start acquiring, what was your thesis on? Like the Sioux, is it primarily here? Is it elsewhere? Like the Sioux, and if we were to give you a $50 million check, what would you start bringing to the Sioux right now?
Well, a couple of questions there. So let's start
Let's
with
do
the
the
first
first
one.
part.
Let's start with the first one. So, when we started the property management side of the business, we really saw, and by spending time in other communities, you get to see certain things. And it still exists today. The value in Sault Ste. Marie's real estate market is still there. You can still go out, invest your money, buy a decent piece of real estate, and cash flow positive and make money every month. There are so many communities across Ontario right now, you still can't go buy a piece of real estate, rent it out, and pay the mortgage.
Right.
Because they're just too high. They're priced too high, and the rents will never support that. Sault Ste. Marie's, I think, has a ton of upside. So I think our home prices have a ton to appreciate, and we can still cash flow positive. So that's why when we got into it, we started to see a lot of people, smart investors from primarily Southern Ontario, but they're essentially across the country, a couple ones from other countries too, but primarily in Southern Ontario, look at saying, hey, I can't buy a house here and rent it out and be cash flow positive. But what's going on here in Northern Ontario? What's going on in Sault Ste. Marie, where I can get a house, get a duplex, get a fourplex, or get even a 16 unit or 32 unit building and cash flow really, really well. And
Absolutely.
that still happens here today in Sault Ste. Marie. And even with some of the negative economic news we've seen, and maybe that's affected the market, there's still a ton of upside here. And that's where it worked out well for us, because these folks needed our help. There was a service, there was a need, and we're able to get their properties and make sure they're in good order and rent them out at reasonable prices. And what you don't want to see is what we saw earlier this year, where some of these investors came in, tried to do it on their own without oversight, and then all their investments went sideways. They end up going into receivership. All the homes are in disrepair. We pride ourselves on ensuring that the homes are in good order. The tenants we're choosing are responsible. They're respecting the home. We're respecting the tenant. We're respecting the owner, and we're trying to make everyone life better, whether it's a tenant has a good experience and our owners are profitable. And that's where we really try daily to do that. There's always challenges. There's always unforeseen things happening. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the market's still outstanding.
So it's a win for everyone with with the way that you present it. And you know what? I, as a previous landlord of lots of units through our family, that was the number one thing, is the headaches of dealing. So you can take away the headache and let the institutional investor invest into a product, and then take away the burden and make sure that you're basically the gatekeeper to investment.
You need boots on the ground. To do real estate well, you need boots on the ground. You need people going into the properties. You need as many eyeballs on that property as possible. So, even as we grow and, we're starting to get a little bit of properties in, down the line and in other areas, neighboring communities to Sault Ste. Marie, we're looking at touch points. How many touch points are you going to have on that property? How many times is the cleaner going to be there? How many times are our staff going to be there? Maintenance people, and are they coming back and reporting any deficiencies?
Right.
Now, obviously, the tenants will report deficiencies too, but you want to ensure that the common areas are in good order, they're clean, the parking lots are sanded, things like that. So that's where you want as many touch points as possible. And I'm fortunate in that regard. We have a great team, a great group of people. It's not for people who want slow-paced environments. It's an extremely fast-paced environment. There's tons of things coming in at the staff daily on item after item that we have to address. But the team has really worked hard to make sure our quality is good and improve our quality. And it's always, again, it's a continuous improvement environment. You're always striving, but we have a culture where quality is everyone's responsibility. And no matter who's going to the property, if there's something out of place, you have to be telling us so we can go and address it. And the company knows. I mean, our business is fixing problems. Our business is addressing deficiencies in the property. It's, just like Walmart wants to sell you goods, we want to sell you that service. We want to make sure we're fixing and repairing and doing as many things as we can, because that's how we stay in business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.